What if your answer could change the course of an entire industry? That question hovered in the air as Claire Harrison stood backstage, her heart pounding louder than the murmur of the thousands gathered in the grand hall. The spotlight was about to shine on her, a woman who, just months ago, was coding alone in a tiny apartment, dreaming of innovations no one else believed in. Tonight, she had been summoned to the pinnacle of technology, a secretive summit hosted by none other than Elon Musk himself. The crowd was electric, buzzing with anticipation and skepticism, the kind reserved for only the most radical ideas. Claire's hands trembled slightly, but she forced herself to steady her breath. This was the moment she had prepared for, even if the weight of expectation pressed down like a mountain. A voice from the stage echoed, "What if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side? What would your answer be?" That question wasn't just rhetorical, it was a challenge. The audience waited for a response, and now, all eyes were on Claire. She glanced out into the sea of faces, tech moguls, investors, reporters, dreamers, and felt a surge of determination. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? She whispered under her breath, remembering the message she had shared online just hours ago. The scene was surreal, almost like a movie. Just last week, she had been working late into the night, wrestling with a stubborn line of code, while the world outside her window was indifferent to her struggle. And now, here she was, seconds away from answering a question that could either make her or break her. Elon Musk, standing nearby, observed quietly, his sharp eyes flicking between Claire and the audience. The irony was not lost on her. Elon Musk, the man who had revolutionized space travel and electric cars, was waiting to hear what she had to say. The unexpected invitation to this summit had already sent waves through her small circle of friends and family. Many doubted she was ready, some even thought it was a mistake. But Claire knew better. This was her moment to prove that innovation wasn't reserved for the elite, it was for anyone brave enough to answer when the world was watching. The crowd hushed as the host gestured for Claire to step forward. The massive screen behind her flickered to life, displaying her project, an AI-driven sustainable energy solution designed to transform urban power grids. Claire's voice, steady despite the adrenaline, cut through the silence. "If you lose everything and find yourself alone," she began, "the answer isn't just to survive. It's to adapt, to rebuild, and to reach out for connection, even when it feels impossible." Murmurs rippled through the audience, curiosity and disbelief mingling. Elon Musk's expression shifted, from skepticism to intrigue. This wasn't the rehearsed, buzzword-laden pitch he was used to. This was real. Claire continued, painting a picture of a future where technology wasn't just a tool for profit but a lifeline for communities at risk of losing hope. She spoke of her own past, of losing her father to illness, of nights spent coding alone, fighting against a tide of doubt and rejection. The story was raw, vulnerable, and unlike anything this tech elite crowd had heard. Suddenly, the unexpected happened. A question shot from the audience, sharp and direct, "Ms. Harrison, how do you expect to compete with billion-dollar corporations when your resources are limited?" The spotlight felt hotter, the room even quieter. Claire's answer was immediate and clear. Innovation doesn't come from money alone. It comes from the courage to face failure, to listen to those others ignore, and to believe that the smallest idea can spark the greatest change. A pause. Then applause, hesitant at first, then growing into a wave that swept through the auditorium. Elon Musk remained silent, his face unreadable. That silence was heavier than any cheer. Claire's mind raced. She knew this was just the beginning, not the end. Behind the scenes, whispers buzzed that her answer had left the tech giant speechless, some in admiration, others in disbelief. But more importantly, Claire felt something new inside, hope. Hope that her voice, once small and overlooked, was finally being heard. The summit continued, but for Claire, everything had changed in that one moment. This story isn't just about technology or business. It's about resilience, about standing tall when the world expects you to fall. And it's about a woman who dared to answer when the spotlight was the brightest, and left Elon Musk completely speechless. Now, as you watch this unfold, I want you to think, what's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Because sometimes, that one thing is all you need to change everything. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Claire Harrison's story began far from the glittering lights of Silicon Valley, in a small town nestled deep in the American Midwest called Maplewood. It was a place where the cornfield stretched endlessly, and the nights were quiet enough to hear the distant hum of tractors. Her childhood was marked by the simplicity and struggles of a working-class family. Her father, Tom Harrison, was a mechanic who spent his days repairing trucks and old cars in a dusty garage behind their modest home. Her mother, Susan, was a school teacher who believed fiercely in the power of education but worried about her daughter's dreams, which seemed bigger than their small town could contain. From an early age, Claire was curious about how things worked, often helping her father with repairs, asking endless questions, dismantling old radios and kitchen appliances just to see if she could put them back together. Her father loved her inquisitive mind but worried that her ambitions might lead to disappointment. When Tom fell ill unexpectedly from a long battle with cancer, Claire was forced to grow up fast. The once lively garage fell silent, and her mother worked double shifts to keep the family afloat. That period was a crucible that shaped Claire's resilience. She juggled school, part-time jobs, and caregiving for her younger brother, Luke, all while carrying a secret hope that she could somehow rise above the hardship. The nights after her father's passing were the hardest. Alone in her room, Claire often stared at the stars, wondering if she could ever escape the shadows that hung over her family. The memory of her father's words echoed in her mind, "Kid, the world's not gonna hand you anything. You've gotta build your own way." Those words became a mantra, fueling a fire that burned deep inside her. When it came time for college, Claire fought tooth and nail to secure a scholarship at MIT. Leaving Maplewood was bittersweet, she was proud but terrified. At MIT, she was thrust into a whirlwind of intense coursework, brilliant minds, and relentless competition. She struggled with imposter syndrome, constantly questioning if she truly belonged among the tech elite. But she found allies in unexpected places. Dr. Elizabeth Grant, a tenured professor known for breaking glass ceilings in artificial intelligence research, took Claire under her wing. Elizabeth recognized Claire's potential not just as a coder but as a visionary. Their relationship became a lifeline, a source of encouragement when Claire's confidence faltered. College wasn't only about academics. Claire also navigated complicated friendships and her first serious relationship with Jake Sullivan, a fellow student whose charm was matched only by his skepticism about Claire's lofty goals. Jake loved Claire but often clashed with her over the risks she was willing to take. Their debates about ambition, security, and what it meant to succeed sometimes left Claire feeling torn between love and her dreams. Meanwhile, her bond with Luke remained unbreakable. Luke, younger by 5 years, was her anchor, someone who reminded her of where she came from and what she was fighting for. Despite financial hardships, Susan always encouraged Claire to chase her dreams, though she worried about the sacrifices involved. Throughout college, Claire juggled all these forces: academic pressure, emotional turmoil, family obligations, and yet, each challenge only honed her focus. She graduated with honors, armed not just with knowledge but with a fierce determination to prove that her ideas could reshape the future. But the transition to the professional world was brutal. Claire quickly learned that innovation was a battlefield where power, politics, and ego often overshadowed brilliance. She landed a job at a rising tech startup in San Francisco, hoping to make her mark. Instead, she found herself sidelined, her ideas dismissed or stolen by senior colleagues. The biggest blow came when her breakthrough project, a sustainable energy algorithm, was leaked and patented by a rival company before she could present it. Betrayal stung sharply, and doubt crept in once again. Could she really break into a world that seemed built to keep people like her out? The answer came in the form of an unexpected email, an invitation to Elon Musk's secretive tech summit. The invitation was cryptic but unmistakably real, promising a chance to present her innovation before an audience of the world's most influential tech leaders. Claire's first instinct was disbelief. Was it a mistake? A prank? But as she read and reread the message, hope sparked to life. Maybe this was her chance to step out of the shadows and into the light. Her family was divided. Susan cautioned her about the risks. What if she was humiliated or exposed? Luke, ever her supporter, urged her to seize the opportunity. Jake, distant now, was skeptical, warning her not to get her hopes up. The tension between love and ambition never felt more real. Preparation for the summit consumed Claire. She worked long nights perfecting her presentation, balancing technical details with the story of why her work mattered. Every setback reminded her of the stakes. This was more than a pitch, it was a battle for respect and survival in an unforgiving world. As the summit day approached, Claire grappled with nerves and self-doubt, but also a fierce pride. She remembered her father's words and the sacrifices of her family. She wasn't just representing herself, she was carrying the hopes of every underdog who dared to dream. This backstory wasn't just a history, it was the heartbeat behind every choice Claire made, the invisible force driving her forward even when the odds were stacked against her. It was what made her answer at the summit so powerful, because it came from a place of real struggle, resilience, and a refusal to be silenced. What pushed Claire forward was not just ambition, but a deep belief that technology should serve people, especially those forgotten by the system. It was that belief that would soon leave Elon Musk, and the entire tech world, completely speechless. Claire's years at MIT were a whirlwind of brilliance and challenge, a crucible that tested every part of her being. The campus was a battleground of ideas, late nights, and relentless competition. Claire had arrived from Maplewood with a mix of awe and anxiety, often feeling like an outsider in a sea of genius. But she refused to let that hold her back. Early on, she met Elizabeth Grant, a professor whose reputation for pioneering AI research was legendary. Elizabeth was more than a mentor, she was a role model who shattered the glass ceiling of academia. Under Elizabeth's guidance, Claire learned not just the technical skills she needed, but also how to navigate a male-dominated environment with grace and grit. Elizabeth challenged Claire to think bigger, to dream beyond the code and imagine technology as a force for real human change. At the same time, Claire's social world was complicated. She formed friendships with a diverse group of students who shared her passion but also struggled with their own demons. Marcus was one such friend, a brilliant coder with a rebellious streak who sometimes clashed with authority but inspired Claire to be bold. Then there was Jake Sullivan, her boyfriend, whose charm and intellect made him a natural leader but whose pragmatism often collided with Claire's idealism. Their relationship was a push and pull. Jake admired Claire's brilliance but worried that her ambitions would leave no room for anything else. Their debates were intense and emotional, revolving around what it meant to build a life versus chase a dream. Meanwhile, Claire's connection to her family remained a lifeline. Phone calls with her mother Susan were bittersweet, Susan's love mixed with worry, her voice tinged with fear that Claire was reaching too far. But her brother Luke's encouragement was unwavering, reminding Claire that she carried her roots wherever she went. College was also a time of self-discovery and painful lessons. Claire faced moments of imposter syndrome, especially when she encountered professors and peers who doubted her because of where she came from or how she looked. The tech world was not kind to women, especially those who dared to challenge the status quo. But Claire learned to channel that doubt into fuel. She threw herself into projects, often working through the night to develop ideas that pushed boundaries. One project stood out, a sustainable AI algorithm that could optimize energy consumption in urban areas, a blend of her passion for technology and her desire to make a positive impact. It was groundbreaking, but sharing it was risky. Jake's doubts about Claire's relentless drive began to weigh on her. He argued that the world wasn't ready for her ideas and that she needed to focus on stability. Their fights grew louder, and Claire often found herself questioning if ambition had to come at the cost of love. Yet, through these struggles, Claire's resolve only deepened. She learned that success would require sacrifice, that the path ahead was steep and uncertain. Graduation was a bittersweet moment. Claire had achieved honors but knew the real battle was just beginning. She left MIT with a fierce determination to prove her worth, to bring her ideas into the world no matter the obstacles. These college years forged the foundation of Claire's character, the mixture of brilliance, vulnerability, and tenacity that would define her journey. The friendships she made, the conflicts she endured, and the mentorship she received all shaped her vision of technology as a tool for hope, not just profit. It was during this time that Claire realized she wasn't alone in her fight. There were others like Elizabeth and Marcus who believed in breaking barriers, and even Jake, despite his doubts, cared deeply for her. These relationships created a complex web of support and tension, pushing Claire to grow not only as a technologist but as a woman learning to balance love, ambition, and self-worth. As she prepared to enter the professional world, Claire carried with her the lessons of MIT. The power of resilience, the importance of mentorship, and the courage to speak up even when the odds were against her. This chapter of her life was not just about academic achievement, it was about becoming someone who could face the immense challenges ahead and still hold on to her dreams. When the invitation from Elon Musk's summit arrived, Claire's memories of MIT were fresh. The doubts, the fights, the late nights, all reminded her that this next step was bigger than any one moment. It was the culmination of years of hard work, sacrifice, and unyielding hope. Would Jake's warnings come true? Would she face the rejection she had feared? Or could her vision finally break through the barriers that had held her back for so long? This chapter of Claire's life set the stage for everything that was to come. Her answer at the summit wouldn't just be words, it would be the voice of all those years of struggle, growth, and the unshakable belief that change was possible. Claire's life after graduation was a whirlwind of hope, disappointment, and relentless perseverance. Moving from the sheltered halls of MIT to the brutal reality of Silicon Valley's tech industry was like stepping into a new world, one where the rules were unwritten and often unfair. She landed a job at a promising startup called GreenGrid, a company dedicated to sustainable energy solutions, a perfect fit for her ambitions. Yet the excitement quickly faded. From day one, Claire realized that innovation was not enough. The culture was cutthroat, ideas were currency, and trust was scarce. Senior engineers guarded their turf fiercely, and management often rewarded conformity over creativity. Claire's sustainable energy algorithm was a breakthrough, but her attempts to present it met with polite nods and swift dismissal. Worse, she began to notice subtle undermining. A senior colleague, Mark, took credit for her ideas in meetings, and her project proposals were stalled without explanation. The betrayal stung deeply. Claire had always believed in collaboration, but here, competition was the norm. Nights in her cramped apartment stretched into mornings as she coded alone, frustrated and exhausted, yet unwilling to give up. Each setback sharpened her resolve. She knew her idea could change lives if it saw the light of day. During this difficult period, Claire's relationships were strained. Jake, who had supported her through college, now grew distant. He criticized her idealism, warning that Silicon Valley was a ruthless place and that she needed to protect herself or risk being crushed. Their conversations turned into arguments. Claire felt torn between the comfort of love and the fire of ambition. At times, she wondered if she was losing both. Her family, too, felt the strain. Susan urged her to consider a more stable career, fearing the emotional toll was too great. Luke remained her steadfast supporter, sending late-night texts full of encouragement, reminding Claire that her fight was bigger than herself. The turning point came unexpectedly when Claire discovered that her sustainable energy algorithm had been patented by a rival firm, one with far greater resources, before she had the chance to file her own claim. The realization that someone had stolen her work left her feeling hollow and betrayed. Yet instead of breaking, Claire saw this as a brutal lesson in the harsh realities of the tech world. She began to network aggressively, attending meetups, conferences, and every gathering she could find, seeking allies and mentors who shared her vision. It was at one such event that she caught the attention of a quietly influential figure named Maria Alvarez, a venture capitalist known for backing disruptive female entrepreneurs. Maria saw the passion in Claire's presentation and offered her something rare, not just funding, but mentorship and access to a powerful network. With Maria's support, Claire founded her own startup, Lumina Tech, dedicated to creating AI-driven sustainable energy solutions designed to empower communities rather than exploit them. The road was still steep, filled with fundraising challenges, technical setbacks, and industry skepticism. Many doubted a young woman with limited capital could compete against tech giants. But Claire's vision was clear. She refused to play by the old rules and instead focused on building a company rooted in transparency, ethics, and community impact. Every day brought new obstacles. Investors questioned her lack of experience. Engineers warned that her ambitions were unrealistic. Press coverage was scarce, and the pressure to deliver mounted. Yet Claire leaned into her most important lesson, resilience. She surrounded herself with a diverse team who believed in the mission. Together, they worked long hours, debugging code, designing hardware prototypes, and pitching relentlessly. Slowly but surely, Lumina Tech began to gain traction. Pilot projects in underserved neighborhoods showed promising results, proving that technology could indeed serve the people. Word spread, and Lumina Tech attracted media attention, positioning Claire as a rising star in sustainable innovation. Meanwhile, Claire's personal life remained complicated. Jake's warnings echoed in her mind, and their relationship finally ended in a painful but necessary break. Claire grieved the loss but knew that her path required sacrifices. The connection with her family, especially Luke and Susan, grew stronger as they rallied around her success. Then came the invitation from Elon Musk's secret summit. A moment that felt both surreal and inevitable. Elon Musk, a figure who symbolized the pinnacle of tech ambition and disruption, wanted to hear what Claire had to say. Preparing for this opportunity became an all-consuming task. Claire crafted a presentation that was more than technical. It was a story about hope, resilience, and the power of technology to heal communities. On the day of the summit, the contrast between the polished stage and her humble beginnings was stark. Standing before an audience of industry titans, Claire felt the weight of her journey. When she spoke, it was with a clarity born of struggle and unwavering belief. Her answer to the summit's opening question, "What if you lost everything and had no one by your side?" was not just a response but a declaration. The silence that followed was heavier than applause. Elon Musk's reaction, unreadable but unmistakably profound, signaled that Claire's vision had pierced through the skepticism. The aftermath was a whirlwind. Offers came flooding in, partnerships formed, and Lumina Tech's influence expanded. Claire had not only proven her critics wrong but had reshaped the conversation about technology's role in society. This chapter of Claire's life was a testament to perseverance and the courage to stand alone, even when the world seemed ready to turn away. It showed that innovation is not just about invention but about the heart and soul behind every idea. Claire's journey from the dusty streets of Maplewood to the glittering summit was far from over, but she had crossed a threshold. Her answer had left Elon Musk speechless, but more importantly, it had sparked a new beginning, not just for her, but for everyone who believed in the power of resilience and hope. Claire's unexpected rise after the summit sent shockwaves through the tech world, but the true test of her journey was only beginning. The days following her presentation were a whirlwind of meetings, media interviews, and intense scrutiny. While the spotlight shone bright, Claire knew that the real challenge lay beneath the surface, in navigating the complex, often ruthless landscape of Silicon Valley power dynamics. Despite the initial wave of excitement, not everyone welcomed her success. Competitors viewed her as an outsider threatening the established order, while some investors were skeptical about Lumina Tech's long-term viability. Claire quickly learned that innovation alone would not guarantee survival. She had to prove her vision could withstand pressure, politics, and the relentless pace of the industry. Her team grew rapidly as Luminatech attracted talent inspired by Claire's mission. They were a diverse group united by a shared belief that technology should serve humanity, not just profits. Among them was Daniel, a brilliant engineer who challenged Claire's ideas but respected her leadership, Maya, a marketing strategist who saw how to connect Luminatech's story with a wider audience, and Ravi, a financial expert determined to secure funding while maintaining ethical standards. Together, they faced the daunting task of scaling the technology from pilot projects to commercial success. Every breakthrough was hard-won, every setback a lesson. The pressure mounted as deadlines loomed and competitors launched aggressive campaigns to discredit Luminatech's claims. Claire found herself in the eye of a storm, balancing the demands of investors, the expectations of her team, and the weight of her own aspirations. One evening, as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, Claire received a call from Elon Musk himself. His voice was calm but charged with an intensity that startled her. He wanted to discuss a potential partnership, an opportunity that could catapult Luminatech into a new league. The conversation was both exhilarating and intimidating. Elon was known for his visionary but exacting standards, and Claire knew this was not just a chance to grow but a test of her resolve. As they negotiated terms, Claire faced difficult decisions. The partnership promised resources and visibility but came with conditions that challenged her values. Elon's approach was bold and uncompromising, pushing for rapid expansion that risked sacrificing the community focus that was Luminatech's core. The tension between ambition and integrity became a central conflict. Claire grappled with the fear of losing what made her company unique while striving to seize the opportunity to amplify her impact. Meanwhile, back at Luminatech headquarters, internal challenges brewed. Differences in vision among the leadership team created friction, and external pressures fueled doubts. Claire found herself mediating disputes, motivating her team, and constantly re-evaluating her priorities. Her personal life remained complicated. The sacrifices she had made weighed heavily, and moments of loneliness crept in. Yet, the unwavering support from Luke and Susan grounded her, reminding her why she fought so hard. The emotional climax came during a pivotal board meeting. Faced with demands to compromise Luminatech's mission for short-term gains, Claire stood her ground. Her passionate defense of the company's values stunned many but inspired others. The tension was palpable as the room waited for the outcome. In the end, Claire secured a compromise that allowed Luminatech to partner with Elon's ventures while maintaining its ethical commitments. It was a victory born of courage and strategic vision. The media hailed it as a turning point, and Luminatech's stock soared. Yet Claire knew the journey was far from over. She had faced the emotional peak of her fight, balancing hope and sacrifice, and emerged stronger. The experience deepened her understanding of leadership and the cost of change. Reflecting on these events, Claire recognized that success was not a destination but a continuous journey. Her story became a beacon for others who struggled to align ambition with integrity. She shared her lessons openly, emphasizing the power of resilience, collaboration, and staying true to one's values. As Luminatech moved forward, Claire's vision expanded beyond technology. She began advocating for systemic change in the industry, pushing for diversity, transparency, and social responsibility. Her voice resonated with a new generation of innovators eager to reshape the future. This chapter of Claire's life was a testament to the emotional highs and lows of leadership. It revealed the complexities of navigating power, the importance of standing firm in one's beliefs, and the hope that drives those who dare to change the world. Claire's journey was far from over, but her answer, her unwavering commitment to making a difference, had already left an indelible mark on Elon Musk and the entire tech community. After the pivotal board meeting, Claire's world shifted in ways she hadn't fully anticipated. The compromise with Elon Musk's ventures opened doors but also unleashed new challenges. Suddenly, Luminatech was no longer just a startup with a bold mission. It was a major player on the global stage, under constant scrutiny from the media, competitors, and regulators. The stakes were higher than ever. Claire's days became a relentless cycle of meetings, strategy sessions, and public appearances. The pressure to deliver results mounted, and every decision was dissected by investors and analysts. Despite the chaos, Claire remained grounded by her core belief: technology should empower people, not exploit them. Yet maintaining that vision in the face of corporate and political pressures tested her resilience daily. One particularly difficult moment came when Lumina Tech was asked to scale its technology into developing countries. The opportunity promised to bring sustainable energy to millions but also raised ethical questions about implementation, local impact, and consent. Claire insisted on a community-first approach, advocating for partnerships with local leaders and transparent communication. This stance drew both praise and criticism. Some saw it as idealistic and slow, others hailed it as revolutionary. Internally, the decision sparked heated debates within Lumina Tech's leadership. Investors pushed for rapid expansion, while Claire's team worried about potential harm if projects moved too quickly. The tension highlighted the ongoing struggle between growth and responsibility. Outside the company, Claire's personal life faced turbulence. The sacrifices she made for Lumina Tech had taken a toll. Loneliness crept in despite her public success. Relationships were strained or lost, including with Jake, whose warnings about the industry's ruthlessness had proven prescient. Yet moments of support from her family and close friends like Daniel and Maya offered solace and strength. Outside the company, Claire's personal life faced turbulence. The sacrifices she made for Lumina Tech had taken a toll. Loneliness crept in despite her public success. Relationships were strained or lost, including with Jake, whose warnings about the industry's ruthlessness had proven prescient. Yet moments of support from her family and close friends like Daniel and Maya offered solace and strength. Claire often found herself reflecting late at night on the journey from Maplewood to the heights of tech leadership. The memory of her father's words echoed in her mind: "You've got to build your own way." Those words were no longer just a mantra but a lived reality filled with both triumph and hardship. Then came a moment that shook Claire to her core. A whistleblower leaked internal documents suggesting Lumina Tech had overlooked certain environmental impacts in a rushed project overseas. The news hit headlines, threatening to undo years of work and tarnish the company's reputation. The emotional shock was profound. Claire felt a mixture of betrayal, guilt, and determination. She called an emergency meeting, vowing transparency and immediate action. Lumina Tech launched an independent investigation, cooperating fully with regulators and communities affected. Claire took responsibility publicly, acknowledging mistakes while reaffirming the company's commitment to learning and improvement. The crisis became a turning point. It tested Claire's leadership in ways she never expected, forcing her to confront uncomfortable truths and rebuild trust. The experience deepened her understanding of humility and accountability. In the aftermath, Claire led initiatives to strengthen Lumina Tech's ethics and compliance, making community engagement central to every project. She also became a vocal advocate for corporate responsibility in the tech industry, speaking at conferences and writing op-eds. This chapter of Claire's life highlighted the emotional peaks and valleys of pioneering change. It was not a story of unbroken success but one of courage in adversity. Claire's answer to these challenges was a blend of vulnerability and strength that resonated widely. As Lumina Tech stabilized and grew, Claire's vision expanded beyond business. She began mentoring young women in tech, sharing her story to inspire resilience and boldness. She emphasized that failure was not the end but a step in the journey. Reflecting on her path, Claire realized that her most important lessons came from the hardest moments, the betrayals, losses, and public scrutiny that tested her spirit. Her journey was far from finished, but her commitment to making a meaningful difference remained unshaken. The answer she had given at Elon Musk summit had opened a door, but it was the choices she made every day after that defined who she truly was. Claire's resolve after the whistleblower crisis marked a new chapter not just for Lumina Tech, but for herself. The ordeal revealed vulnerabilities that she had long buried beneath ambition and optimism. Yet from those cracks, something deeper began to grow, a profound sense of purpose grounded in humility and empathy. With the company's reputation on the line, Claire knew she needed to rebuild not only external trust but also internal culture. She launched a comprehensive initiative aimed at fostering transparency and collaboration at every level of Luminatech. Weekly town halls replaced hierarchical meetings, and employees were encouraged to speak openly about challenges and ethical concerns. Claire personally made it a point to listen more, to understand the fears and hopes of her team. This shift was not easy. Old patterns of silence and competition ran deep, and some resisted the new approach. But slowly, the culture began to change. The energy within Luminatech transformed from one of pressure and suspicion to one of shared responsibility and innovation fueled by trust. Meanwhile, Claire's relationship with her family deepened in unexpected ways. Susan, who had once worried about the toll of Claire's ambitions, became her confidant and sounding board. Their conversations, once fraught with tension, grew into sources of strength and insight. Luke's steady presence provided a grounding force amid the chaos. These personal connections reminded Claire that success was not only about professional achievements but also about the love and support that sustained her. As Luminatech stabilized, Claire's vision expanded beyond technology to include social justice and environmental advocacy. She partnered with nonprofit organizations and policymakers to ensure that sustainable energy solutions were accessible and equitable. Claire understood that true innovation required dismantling systemic barriers, and she used her platform to speak out on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion within tech. Her advocacy attracted both allies and critics. Some praised her courage, others dismissed her as idealistic or distracting from business goals. Yet Claire stood firm, knowing that meaningful change required challenging the status quo. Professionally, Claire faced new challenges as Luminatech moved toward international expansion. Entering markets with different cultures, regulations, and expectations tested the company's adaptability and ethics. Claire insisted on local partnerships and culturally sensitive approaches, reinforcing her commitment to community empowerment rather than exploitation. This approach often conflicted with investors' demands for quick returns, creating ongoing tension. Balancing these competing pressures demanded emotional resilience and strategic finesse. Throughout these trials, Claire's leadership style evolved. She learned to delegate more, trusting her growing team to execute her vision while focusing on big-picture strategy and advocacy. This shift was both liberating and difficult. Letting go of control meant embracing uncertainty and relying on others, a challenge for someone who had always shouldered responsibility alone. Yet it also opened space for innovation and collaboration that propelled Luminatech forward. Claire's journey attracted media attention not just for her company's technological breakthroughs but for her outspoken advocacy and leadership style. Interviews and speaking engagements increased, and she became a role model for women and minorities in tech. With this visibility came new pressures, the need to be a public figure, to manage expectations, and to navigate criticism. Claire found solace in writing, journaling her thoughts and struggles, grounding herself in reflection. Amid the professional whirlwind, Claire reconnected with an old friend, Marcus, the rebellious coder from MIT who had once challenged her ideas. Their renewed friendship brought laughter, perspective, and a reminder of the power of human connection. Marcus's unconventional approach to technology complemented Claire's structured vision, and together they brainstormed new projects focused on community-driven innovation. This collaboration rekindled Claire's excitement and reminded her why she had started Luminatech, to make a real difference. As the chapter closed, Claire faced the daunting task of preparing for an international summit on sustainable technology, where she would present Luminatech's latest advances. The summit promised to be a platform to influence policy and forge global partnerships, but also a crucible of scrutiny and diplomacy. Claire's answer, her voice shaped by years of triumph and trial, would once again be tested on the world stage. The international summit arrived with the weight of the world's eyes on Claire and Luminatech. The Grand Hall was filled with leaders from governments, corporations, and nonprofits, all eager to witness the next breakthrough in sustainable technology. Claire felt a surge of nerves tempered by the years of experience that had brought her here. As she stepped onto the stage, the room fell silent, anticipation hanging thick in the air. She began not with technical jargon but with a story of communities in remote areas where access to electricity had transformed lives, enabling education, healthcare, and economic opportunity. Her words painted vivid pictures of children studying under solar lamps and farmers irrigating crops with energy from clean sources. This human-centered narrative resonated deeply, setting her apart from other speakers who focused solely on data and projections. Claire's presentation then shifted to Luminateca's latest innovations: AI-driven energy grids adaptable to local needs, affordable storage solutions, and open-source platforms designed to empower communities worldwide. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Delegates asked insightful questions, and many expressed interest in partnerships. Yet beneath the applause, Claire remained aware of the complex politics swirling around her. Some powerful interests saw Luminateca's community-first model as a threat to established business models reliant on resource extraction and centralized control. After her talk, Claire navigated a maze of private meetings, negotiating deals that balanced growth with ethics. Each handshake carried the weight of promises and potential compromises. Amid these high-stakes interactions, Claire encountered a familiar face, Elena, a former rival and now an executive at a major energy conglomerate. Their past rivalry was marked by fierce competition and sharp words, but today Elena extended a tentative olive branch, suggesting collaboration on a pilot project. The proposal was tempting yet fraught with risk. Claire knew that working with a corporation known for aggressive tactics could undermine Luminateca's values. After long discussions with her team, Claire decided to engage cautiously, setting strict terms to ensure transparency and community benefit. This decision sparked debates internally, testing the trust Claire had built. Throughout the summit, Claire's leadership was tested not just in negotiations but in moments of personal vulnerability. Late nights spent preparing speeches were interspersed with pangs of loneliness and fatigue. She missed the simple pleasures of earlier days, deep conversations with friends, quiet evenings with family. Yet the magnitude of the opportunity kept her moving forward. One evening, at a reception overlooking the city skyline, Claire reflected on how far she had come from the young woman struggling to be heard in a crowded startup world. She thought of the sacrifices, the betrayals, and the breakthroughs. Her phone buzzed, a message from Luke reminding her to take care of herself amid the chaos. That simple reminder grounded her. The summit concluded with a landmark agreement to pilot Luminateca's technology in multiple regions, supported by a coalition of governments and NGOs. Claire's vision was becoming reality on a scale she had only dreamed of. As she returned home, Claire felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The journey ahead would be long and complex, but the summit had affirmed that resilience, integrity, and hope could drive transformative change. Reflecting on her experiences, Claire understood that her answer, her unwavering commitment to people over profit, had become a beacon for a new era in technology. The road would be filled with challenges, but she was ready. The days after the international summit were a whirlwind of follow-ups, planning sessions, and new partnerships for Claire and Luminatech. The pilot projects in multiple regions promised to bring clean energy solutions to underserved communities, but implementing these ambitious plans was far from straightforward. Each location presented unique challenges, cultural differences, logistical hurdles, and political complexities, that required Claire's team to adapt quickly and thoughtfully. Claire took a hands-on approach, traveling extensively to oversee deployments and meet with local leaders. These visits were both inspiring and humbling. She witnessed firsthand the profound impact of Luminateca's work but also confronted the harsh realities of poverty, infrastructure gaps, and bureaucratic inertia. The contrast between high-level summits and grassroots realities deepened Claire's understanding of what true innovation demanded. Throughout this phase, Claire leaned heavily on her core team, Daniel, Maya, and Ravi, whose expertise and dedication proved indispensable. Daniel's engineering ingenuity solved unexpected technical problems on the ground, Maya crafted communication strategies that resonated with diverse audiences, Ravi secured additional funding while advocating for ethical investment practices. Their collective effort embodied the collaborative spirit Claire championed. Yet, the journey was not without setbacks. Political shifts in some countries led to delays or cancellations of projects. Competing interests from established energy companies sometimes manifested as legal challenges or disinformation campaigns aimed at undermining Luminatech's credibility. These obstacles tested Claire's resolve and strategic acumen. She found herself navigating a complex web of diplomacy, advocacy, and innovation. Meanwhile, back at headquarters, Luminatech's rapid expansion strained resources and morale. Employees worked long hours under intense pressure, and Claire recognized the risk of burnout. To address this, she initiated wellness programs and encouraged open dialogue about mental health, striving to create a supportive environment despite the demands. Claire also confronted internal conflicts as some team members disagreed on the company's direction or expressed frustration with the pace of change. These moments required patience, empathy, and sometimes tough decisions to preserve the company's mission and cohesion. On a personal level, Claire grappled with balancing her public role and private life. Invitations to prestigious events and media appearances increased, but she often declined, prioritizing time with Susan and Luke. Their unwavering support remained her anchor. One afternoon during a visit to a remote village, Claire met a young woman named Amina, whose story deeply moved her. Amina's family had struggled for years without reliable electricity, limiting education and healthcare access. Luminatech's pilot project had brought light and hope. Seeing the tangible difference reaffirmed Claire's purpose, fueling her determination to overcome obstacles. The encounter inspired Claire to start a new initiative focused on empowering women in technology and energy sectors, believing that inclusive progress would yield the most sustainable results. As Luminatech grew more influential, Claire became increasingly aware of the responsibility her platform carried. She engaged with policymakers and industry leaders to advocate for regulations promoting ethical innovation and environmental stewardship. Her voice was both respected and challenged, reflecting the complex dynamics of change. Throughout these experiences, Claire's character evolved. The once fiercely independent entrepreneur had become a leader who valued collaboration, empathy, and adaptability. She embraced vulnerability as a strength, understanding that true leadership required openness and resilience. This chapter of Claire's journey was marked by the ongoing tension between ambition and integrity, hope and hardship. It highlighted the realities of pioneering transformative change in a complex world. Claire's answer, the steadfast commitment to people, planet, and progress, continued to guide her steps. As Luminatech's influence expanded globally, Claire found herself at the intersection of innovation, ethics, and diplomacy more often than she had ever imagined. The pilot projects, though promising, revealed the intricate balance required to respect local cultures while implementing cutting-edge technology. One particular challenge emerged in a coastal region where traditional fishing communities depended on ways of life threatened by climate change and industrial development. Claire traveled there to listen and learn. The villagers were wary of outsiders, and rightly so. Decades of broken promises had fostered skepticism. Claire knew that Luminatech's technology could improve lives but only if introduced with humility and genuine partnership. She spent days walking alongside fishermen, attending community meetings, and engaging with elders. These interactions reshaped her perspective, highlighting the necessity of patience and cultural sensitivity. She adjusted the project plan to include community-led decision-making and local employment opportunities. This approach strengthened trust and created a model for future deployments. Back at headquarters, Claire continued to navigate internal growth pains. As Luminatech scaled, maintaining the founding mission amidst increasing bureaucracy became a daily struggle. Some senior managers prioritized profitability over social impact, causing friction. Claire addressed this head-on, reiterating the company's core values in every meeting and holding leaders accountable to the vision. She introduced a new leadership training program focused on ethical decision-making and inclusive management, hoping to cultivate a culture that matched her ideals. The tension between growth and integrity was a defining theme of this period. On the personal front, Claire's relationship with Luke deepened, offering a sanctuary amid the storm. Their conversations often revolved around balancing ambition with humanity, a dialogue that helped Claire maintain perspective. Susan's health, however, began to decline, adding emotional complexity to Claire's life. Caring for her mother while managing a global enterprise tested Claire's resilience and capacity for compassion. She learned to lean on her team more, delegating responsibilities to trusted colleagues. This shift was challenging but necessary, allowing her to be present for Susan during critical moments. The emotional weight of these experiences infused Claire's leadership with greater depth. She became more attuned to the human stories behind technological innovation. This empathy influenced Luminateca's strategic direction, inspiring initiatives focused on education, healthcare, and environmental conservation. The company launched a scholarship program for women in STEM fields from underrepresented communities, reflecting Claire's belief in empowering future generations. At an industry conference, Claire encountered skeptics who questioned whether technology could truly address systemic social issues. Their criticism sparked lively debates, but Claire remained steadfast. She articulated a vision where technology was a tool for equity rather than exploitation, emphasizing that meaningful change required collaboration across sectors and cultures. These conversations reinforced her commitment to advocacy beyond business metrics. As Luminatech approached its 5th anniversary, Claire reflected on the journey from a small startup to a global influence. The company's successes were hard-earned and often accompanied by setbacks and sacrifices. Yet, the unwavering support of her family, friends, and team had made it possible. The anniversary celebration was both a milestone and a moment of recommitment. Claire used the occasion to announce new goals centered on sustainability, inclusivity, and transparency. She challenged her team and partners to envision a future where technology served the common good. This vision resonated widely, attracting new allies and inspiring existing stakeholders. Despite the forward momentum, Claire remained grounded in the lessons of her past struggles. She knew that the path ahead would be complex and unpredictable but believed that the answer lay in staying true to values while embracing innovation. This chapter of Claire's story was one of growth, personal, professional, and philosophical. It underscored the power of empathy, the necessity of resilience, and the enduring impact of leadership rooted in purpose. Claire's 5th year leading Luminatech marked a period of intense growth but also profound introspection. The company's expanding footprint across continents brought new complexities that challenged her leadership like never before. While the technological breakthroughs continued to garner acclaim, Claire increasingly grappled with questions about the true cost of progress. One evening, after a long day negotiating a partnership with a government agency in Southeast Asia, Claire sat alone in her hotel room, staring out at the city lights. Despite the successes, a nagging unease crept into her thoughts. She wondered if, in her pursuit of scaling clean energy access, some voices were still unheard, those of marginalized communities caught between rapid change and systemic neglect. This reflection prompted Claire to commission an independent assessment of Luminateca's projects, focusing on social and environmental impact. The findings were sobering. While many communities benefited, some initiatives inadvertently disrupted local ecosystems or failed to fully engage residents in decision-making. The report sparked intense discussions within Luminateca's leadership. Claire used it as a catalyst to deepen the company's commitment to ethical innovation. She implemented a community-first framework that mandated participatory planning, rigorous impact assessments, and ongoing feedback loops for every project. This shift was not universally welcomed. Some investors worried about slower rollouts and increased costs. Yet Claire stood firm, believing that sustainability and trust were long-term investments. Around this time, a new opportunity emerged that could redefine Luminateca's role in global energy. A coalition of island nations threatened by rising sea levels invited Claire to develop a comprehensive resilience strategy combining renewable energy, infrastructure adaptation, and community education. The challenge was enormous but deeply aligned with Luminateca's mission. Claire assembled a multidisciplinary team, blending engineers, social scientists, and local experts. The project became a living laboratory for integrated solutions and cross-sector collaboration. As the initiative progressed, Claire witnessed the transformative power of holistic approaches. The island communities embraced new technologies not as impositions but as tools woven into their cultural fabric. Stories of revitalized fisheries, solar-powered schools, and youth-led conservation efforts reinforced Claire's belief in inclusive innovation. Amid these professional triumphs, Claire faced personal trials. Susan's health declined further, and Claire juggled demanding travel schedules with caregiving responsibilities. The strain illuminated the delicate balance between ambition and humanity. Claire found solace in mindfulness practices and close conversations with Luke, who reminded her of the importance of presence and self-compassion. These moments of vulnerability deepened Claire's empathy, influencing her leadership style to be more compassionate and authentic. At the same time, external pressures intensified. Competitors launched aggressive campaigns to undermine Luminateca's credibility, capitalizing on any misstep to cast doubt. Regulatory hurdles in some countries slowed progress, and media scrutiny heightened. Claire responded by doubling down on transparency and community engagement, turning challenges into opportunities for dialogue and learning. She also strengthened partnerships with advocacy groups and policymakers to build broader coalitions for sustainable development. One memorable moment came when Claire spoke at the United Nations Climate Summit. Addressing an audience of world leaders and activists, she shared not just data but deeply human stories from Luminateca's projects, tales of resilience, hope, and collective action. Her message emphasized that technology was only one piece of the puzzle, lasting change required solidarity and shared responsibility. The speech was met with standing ovations and renewed commitments from several nations. This chapter of Claire's journey revealed the evolving nature of leadership in the face of complexity. It underscored the importance of humility, continuous learning, and the courage to challenge conventional wisdom. Claire's answer, her unwavering belief that progress must honor people and planet, remained a guiding star amid uncertainty. The turning point came quietly one crisp autumn morning as Claire reviewed reports from Luminateca's resilience project in the island nations. Amid impressive gains, one troubling pattern emerged: despite improved infrastructure and technology, economic disparities persisted, and social tension simmered beneath the surface. Claire realized that technology alone couldn't heal wounds rooted in historical injustices and systemic inequality. Determined to address these deeper issues, she convened a summit with community leaders, anthropologists, and social justice advocates to rethink Luminateca's approach. The discussions were raw and revealing. Participants spoke of colonial legacies, displacement, and the importance of cultural sovereignty. Claire listened intently, her worldview expanding beyond engineering solutions to embrace social transformation. The summit resulted in the creation of a new program within Luminatec, Equity by Design. This initiative integrated social justice principles into every aspect of project planning and implementation, ensuring that technology served as a tool for empowerment rather than control. Claire championed this program passionately, knowing it would require a profound shift in corporate mindset and operations. Internally, the change sparked lively debates and occasional resistance. Some feared that focusing on equity might slow progress or alienate stakeholders. Claire addressed these concerns with transparency and education, fostering a culture that valued discomfort as a path to growth. She invited experts to conduct workshops and facilitated open forums where employees could voice doubts and hopes. This process strengthened team cohesion and deepened commitment to Luminateca's mission. Meanwhile, Claire's public profile continued to rise. Invitations to speak at global forums and universities multiplied, giving her a platform to advocate for ethical innovation and inclusive development. Yet, she remained wary of celebrity culture, prioritizing authenticity and meaningful engagement over fame. Her speeches often emphasized the humanity behind technology, the lives transformed and the voices uplifted. One such engagement was at a leading technology conference where Claire delivered a keynote titled "Technology with a Heart." She challenged the industry to move beyond profit-driven models and embrace responsibility for social and environmental well-being. The address sparked wide discussion, inspiring some companies to re-evaluate their practices. Beyond public engagements, Claire invested in mentoring the next generation of leaders, especially women and underrepresented minorities in STEM. She established scholarships, workshops, and internship programs through Luminateca's foundation. These efforts reflected her belief that diversity and inclusion were catalysts for innovation and justice. As the year progressed, Claire faced personal crossroads. Susan's health stabilized but required ongoing care, compelling Claire to reconsider her own work-life balance. Luke's unwavering support and their deepening relationship provided comfort and perspective. Together, they explored ways to nurture joy and connection amid professional demands. This integration of personal and professional priorities enriched Claire's leadership, imbuing it with grace and resilience. The culmination of these efforts was Luminateca's annual impact report, which for the first time featured comprehensive assessments of social equity alongside technological metrics. The report was candid about successes and shortcomings, earning praise for its honesty and inspiring other companies to follow suit. As Claire reflected on the journey, she recognized that true innovation was iterative, built on listening, learning, and adapting. Her answer had evolved from a simple focus on technology to a complex, compassionate vision where people and planet were inseparable. This chapter in Claire's story highlighted the power of humility, dialogue, and courage in shaping a better future. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The momentum of Luminateca's Equity by Design program sparked a new wave of creativity and purpose within the company. Teams that once operated in silos began collaborating more deeply, integrating social scientists with engineers, designers with community organizers. Claire encouraged this interdisciplinary approach, believing that complex problems required diverse perspectives. This shift led to breakthroughs that were both innovative and culturally resonant. One of the most significant projects emerged from Luminateca's collaboration with indigenous communities in the Pacific Northwest. These communities faced threats not only from environmental degradation but also from erasure of their cultural heritage. Luminatec partnered with tribal leaders to co-create renewable energy systems that honor traditional knowledge and land stewardship. The project combined solar and hydroelectric technologies designed to work harmoniously with the natural ecosystem, minimizing disruption and supporting biodiversity. Claire personally visited the site during the early phases, participating in ceremonies and listening to stories that deepened her appreciation for the sacred relationship between people and land. The experience profoundly influenced her leadership philosophy, reinforcing the importance of respect and reciprocity in innovation. Meanwhile, Luminateca's global footprint continued to grow, attracting attention from both allies and adversaries. A major international corporation, feeling threatened by Luminateca's community-driven model, launched a covert campaign to discredit Claire and her company. The attacks ranged from misleading media reports to attempts at sabotaging projects through regulatory complaints. Claire faced these challenges with resilience and transparency, countering misinformation with facts and open communication. She rallied her team around a shared commitment to integrity, turning adversity into an opportunity to strengthen internal bonds. The crisis also sparked public solidarity. Supporters of Luminatec, including grassroots activists, industry leaders, and clients, voiced their trust and encouragement. Social media campaigns and petitions highlighted the company's positive impact and called out unfair tactics. This collective response reinforced Claire's belief in the power of community, not just as beneficiaries of technology but as active agents in shaping its future. Amid these external battles, Claire focused on nurturing Luminateca's culture. She instituted regular, story circles, where employees shared personal experiences related to the company's mission, fostering empathy and connection. She also emphasized continuous learning, sponsoring workshops on topics ranging from anti-racism to environmental justice. These initiatives cultivated a workplace where diversity was celebrated and every voice mattered. On a personal level, Claire's relationship with Luke blossomed into a partnership grounded in mutual respect and shared values. They supported each other through triumphs and trials, finding balance between ambition and presence. Susan's condition stabilized, allowing Claire moments of relief and renewed hope. Their family bonds became a source of strength amid professional turbulence. As the year drew to a close, Claire reflected on the transformative journey Luminatech had undertaken. What began as a quest to innovate clean energy had blossomed into a movement for equitable and sustainable change. The challenges faced had tested her leadership but also illuminated the path forward. Claire's answer, her commitment to courage, compassion, and community, remained unwavering. She knew that the road ahead would continue to demand resilience and vision, but she felt ready. This chapter of Claire's story was marked by growth, solidarity, and the enduring belief that technology, when guided by heart and humility, could indeed change the world. The dawn of a new year brought fresh challenges and opportunities for Claire and Luminatech. With the Equity by Design program now fully integrated into the company's operations, Claire set her sights on scaling impact without sacrificing values. She recognized that true sustainability demanded systemic change beyond individual projects, requiring shifts in policy, economics, and culture. To this end, Claire launched the Luminatech Innovation Lab, a collaborative space bringing together technologists, social scientists, activists, and policymakers to co-create solutions addressing climate justice and economic inclusion. The lab aimed to break down traditional silos, fostering radical collaboration and experimentation. Its inaugural project focused on urban energy access in underserved neighborhoods, combining smart grid technology with community-owned enterprises. Claire believed this model could be replicated globally, empowering marginalized populations to take control of their energy futures. The lab's early days were marked by a thrilling mix of creativity and tension. Diverse stakeholders brought varying priorities and perspectives, sometimes clashing but ultimately enriching the process. Claire facilitated open dialogue, emphasizing shared goals and respect. She encouraged risk-taking and learning from failure, cultivating an environment where innovation thrived. Meanwhile, Luminatech's external environment grew increasingly complex. Climate events intensified worldwide, underscoring the urgency of their work but also revealing vulnerabilities in infrastructure and governance. Political polarization complicated international cooperation, making advocacy and diplomacy more challenging. Claire found herself navigating a delicate balance between optimism and realism, pushing for bold action while acknowledging systemic constraints. Internally, Claire continued to prioritize employee well-being and inclusivity. The company implemented flexible work policies, mental health resources, and mentorship programs to support diverse talent. Claire believed that a healthy, engaged workforce was essential for sustainable innovation. She also deepened partnerships with educational institutions to build pipelines for future leaders committed to ethical technology. One pivotal moment came when Luminatech partnered with a coalition of cities to pilot an ambitious Green Neighborhoods initiative. This project integrated renewable energy, green spaces, affordable housing, and digital literacy programs to create holistic models of urban sustainability. Claire saw it as a tangible embodiment of Luminatech's mission to intertwine technology with social justice. The pilot attracted wide media attention and community support, highlighting the potential for scalable, equitable transformation. Throughout this period, Claire remained grounded by her family and personal practices. Regular retreats with Luke and quiet moments with Susan provided balance amid the whirlwind. These connections nourished her spirit and reminded her of the human stakes behind every decision. As Luminatech grew in influence, Claire used her platform to advocate for systemic reforms, speaking at international forums and engaging with policymakers. She emphasized the interconnectedness of climate action, social equity, and economic innovation, calling for comprehensive approaches that left no one behind. This chapter of Claire's story was one of integration, melding technology with justice, ambition with empathy, and innovation with humility. It highlighted the complexities of scaling ethical change and the power of collaboration across boundaries. Claire's answer continued to evolve, shaped by experience and a steadfast commitment to a better future. Claire felt the weight of expectation as Luminateca's projects reached new heights of visibility and complexity. The company had become a beacon for sustainable innovation, yet with that spotlight came scrutiny and pressure to deliver transformative results at an unprecedented scale. The stakes were higher than ever, and Claire understood that leadership demanded not only vision but also adaptability and courage. A critical test arrived when an unforeseen natural disaster struck one of Luminateca's key project sites in Central America. A powerful hurricane devastated the region, destroying infrastructure and displacing thousands. Claire immediately mobilized resources, coordinating emergency relief efforts alongside local authorities and international partners. The disaster exposed vulnerabilities in existing systems but also offered an urgent call to action to build resilience and equity into recovery plans. Claire's team worked tirelessly, balancing immediate humanitarian needs with long-term sustainable development goals. The crisis underscored the interconnectedness of climate change, social justice, and technological innovation. Claire advocated for recovery strategies that prioritized vulnerable populations, incorporated renewable energy solutions, and fostered community leadership. She spearheaded partnerships with NGOs and governments to ensure that rebuilding efforts aligned with Luminateca's values. The experience deepened Claire's conviction that addressing climate disasters required holistic, inclusive approaches rather than quick fixes. Amid the chaos, Claire found strength in her team's dedication and in the resilience of affected communities. Stories of hope and solidarity emerged, neighbors supporting one another, local leaders organizing grassroots initiatives, youth spearheading environmental education. These narratives inspired Claire and reaffirmed her belief in the power of collective action. Concurrently, Luminatec faced increasing challenges in securing funding for ambitious projects as economic uncertainties and shifting political landscapes created hesitancy among investors. Claire navigated these complexities by diversifying funding sources, engaging impact investors, and demonstrating transparent accountability. She communicated Luminateca's vision with authenticity and urgency, inspiring renewed confidence. On the personal front, Claire grappled with the emotional toll of leading through crisis. Moments of doubt and exhaustion surfaced, but the support of Luke, Susan, and close colleagues provided grounding. Claire embraced mindfulness practices and sought counsel from mentors, recognizing that resilience required care for herself as well as others. The hurricane recovery became a defining chapter in Luminateca's story and in Claire's leadership journey. It tested the company's principles, resilience, and capacity for empathy. Claire's answer: to face adversity with integrity, compassion, and courage, shone brightly amid the storm. This period also sparked new innovations. Lessons learned from the disaster informed the development of adaptable energy systems designed to withstand extreme weather. Luminatec invested in research on climate-resilient materials and community-based monitoring technologies. These advances positioned the company at the forefront of climate adaptation solutions. As recovery efforts stabilized, Claire reflected on the profound interconnectedness of challenges and opportunities facing Luminatec. The company's mission had grown beyond clean energy to encompass holistic resilience and justice. Claire's leadership evolved accordingly, embracing complexity with humility and determination. This chapter highlighted the transformative power of crisis to catalyze innovation and deepen commitment. Claire's answer remained clear: progress required unwavering dedication to people, planet, and shared futures. The aftermath of the hurricane disaster had left Luminatec at a crossroads. The company's response had earned widespread praise, yet it also exposed the need for systemic resilience beyond immediate recovery. Claire recognized that building a future resistant to climate shocks demanded innovative partnerships and unprecedented collaboration across sectors. She set out to transform Luminatec from a technology provider into a catalyst for global resilience networks. The first step involved convening an international summit of stakeholders. Governments, NGOs, community leaders, scientists, and private sector innovators, to share knowledge and co-design solutions. Claire's vision was to foster open ecosystems where resources, data, and expertise flowed freely to empower vulnerable regions. The summit, held in Geneva, was a landmark event. Claire's opening remarks emphasized interconnectedness. No single actor can solve these challenges alone. Our strength lies in collaboration rooted in respect, equity, and shared purpose. Discussions ranged from policy frameworks to community engagement models. Some debates were intense, revealing deep-seated mistrust between parties. Claire navigated these tensions with patience and transparency, facilitating trust-building exercises and emphasizing common goals. The summit culminated in the creation of the Global Resilience Alliance, a multi-stakeholder platform committed to advancing integrated, community-centered resilience initiatives worldwide. Luminatech pledged to provide technological support and capacity-building resources. This initiative marked a new chapter for Claire and the company, a shift from project delivery to ecosystem stewardship. Back home, Claire faced internal challenges. Scaling collaboration while maintaining organizational agility required rethinking Luminatech's structure and culture. She spearheaded a transformation toward decentralized decision-making, empowering regional teams and fostering innovation hubs. This decentralization allowed for responsiveness to local contexts while aligning with global mission. Claire also prioritized diversity and inclusion, understanding that broad perspectives were essential to addressing complex problems. Recruitment efforts intensified to bring in voices from underrepresented communities and disciplines. Training programs emphasized cultural competence and ethical leadership. On the personal front, Claire balanced the demands of global leadership with ongoing care for Susan. Their relationship deepened, grounded in mutual support and shared values. Luke remained a steadfast partner, encouraging Claire to find moments of joy and restoration amid the work. These relationships sustained Claire's resilience and empathy. As the Global Resilience Alliance gained momentum, Luminatech launched pilot programs in regions vulnerable to climate disruption. These pilots integrated renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, health services, and education, designed through participatory processes with local communities. The results were promising: improved food security, reduced energy costs, and enhanced social cohesion. Claire visited several sites, witnessing firsthand the transformative impact of collaborative innovation. These experiences reinforced her belief that technology's greatest power was its ability to amplify human agency. Meanwhile, the political climate grew more volatile, with rising nationalism and skepticism toward global cooperation. Claire confronted these headwinds by doubling down on grassroots engagement and transparent communication. She advocated for policies that protected marginalized voices and promoted climate justice. Her voice resonated with a growing coalition of activists, scholars, and leaders committed to intersectional approaches. This chapter of Claire's journey highlighted the evolution of leadership in complexity, embracing humility, fostering networks, and sustaining hope amid uncertainty. Claire's answer matured into a philosophy of interconnected stewardship, where technology, community, and courage converged to shape resilient futures. Claire stood on the stage at the Global Resilience Alliance's annual summit, the room buzzing with anticipation. Years of dedication had led to this moment. A gathering of diverse leaders committed to a shared vision of sustainable, equitable futures. Claire's journey from a determined innovator to a steward of global collaboration was reflected in every word she spoke. Her address was a powerful blend of humility and urgency. She recounted the challenges faced, from natural disasters to political upheaval, and the breakthroughs achieved through collective action. "We've learned that resilience is not just about bouncing back," she said, "but about bouncing forward, building systems that honor the dignity and potential of every person." Her speech was met with standing ovations, signaling a profound shift in how innovation and justice were intertwined. Back at Luminatech, the ripple effects of the Alliance's work continued to inspire. Regional teams implemented lessons from summit dialogues, tailoring projects to local contexts with renewed confidence and creativity. Claire encouraged experimentation and embraced failure as a necessary step toward progress. Internally, Luminatech's culture flourished. Story circles, inclusive decision-making, and ongoing education cultivated a vibrant, engaged workforce. Employees from diverse backgrounds felt empowered to contribute meaningfully, fueling innovation with authenticity. The company's reputation as a leader in ethical technology attracted new partners and opportunities, amplifying impact. Yet, challenges persisted. Climate crises intensified unpredictably, demanding rapid adaptation and collaboration. Funding landscapes shifted, requiring agile strategies and transparent accountability. Claire's leadership faced continuous tests, balancing visionary goals with operational realities. Throughout, Claire remained anchored by personal connections. Moments with Susan and Luke provided grounding and perspective, reminding her of the human heart at the center of all endeavors. Their support sustained her through demanding times. A pivotal project emerged when Luminatech partnered with refugee communities displaced by conflict and climate change. The initiative focused on creating self-sustaining energy and water systems that enhanced autonomy and dignity. Claire was deeply moved by the resilience and ingenuity of these communities, reinforcing her commitment to inclusive innovation. This chapter of Claire's story illustrated the power of collective courage and compassion in navigating complexity. Her answer evolved into a call for interconnected stewardship. Where technology, community, and justice coalesce to create resilient futures. Claire had never imagined that her journey would bring her to the heart of a sprawling refugee settlement in the Middle East. The dust swirled around her as she stepped off the rugged terrain, greeted by faces marked with both hardship and hope. Luminatech's latest project aimed to implement sustainable energy and water solutions designed with and for displaced communities, a testament to the company's deepening commitment to equity and resilience. As Claire toured the settlement, she was struck by the ingenuity of the residents. Makeshift solar arrays powered communal spaces, while water purification units, developed through collaborative design sessions, provided clean drinking water. Children attended makeshift classrooms equipped with digital learning tools powered by renewable energy. The sense of community amid adversity was palpable, underscoring the human capacity to adapt and thrive. Claire spent days engaging with local leaders, women's groups, and youth activists. Their stories illuminated the complex realities of displacement, loss, trauma, but also determination and solidarity. Claire listened intently, recognizing that technology could not simply be imposed but must emerge from trust and shared vision. Luminatech's approach was to facilitate empowerment, co-creating solutions that honored cultural identities and aspirations. The project was not without challenges. Supply chain disruptions, political tensions, and resource limitations tested the team's resilience. Yet, these obstacles reinforced the importance of flexibility, transparency, and community ownership. Claire worked closely with her team to navigate setbacks, fostering open communication and mutual learning. These experiences enriched Luminatech's growing expertise in crisis-responsive innovation. On a personal level, Claire found the experience both humbling and inspiring. The encounter with human resilience deepened her commitment to social justice and the ethical use of technology. She reflected on the interconnectedness of global struggles, climate change, displacement, inequality, and the urgent need for integrated responses. The refugee project became a catalyst for broader conversations within Luminatech and among partners about the role of innovation in humanitarian contexts. The company expanded its partnerships with international organizations and local NGOs, emphasizing participatory design and capacity building. Claire advocated for policies that recognized displaced populations as agents of change rather than mere recipients of aid. As the project progressed, measurable improvements emerged: reduced reliance on fossil fuels, enhanced access to education and health services, and strengthened community cohesion. Claire celebrated these milestones but remained focused on continuous learning and adaptation. This chapter of Claire's story illuminated the power of listening, humility, and solidarity in shaping technology that serves humanity. Her answer continued to evolve, a beacon of hope grounded in justice and shared humanity. Claire sat quietly in her office, the glow of the city skyline outside a stark contrast to the whirlwind inside her mind. Lumina Tech was approaching a critical juncture. Years of growth, innovation, and community engagement had positioned the company as a leader in sustainable and equitable technology, yet the path forward remained complex and uncertain. The challenges of climate change, social inequality, and political volatility demanded continued adaptability and vision. As she reviewed reports from across the globe, Claire reflected on the journey that had brought her here, from the early days of Lumina Tech's founding, through trials and triumphs, to the expansive impact the company now wielded. Each chapter of that story was etched with lessons of resilience, collaboration, and courage. The recent projects with displaced communities, global coalitions, and urban sustainability pilots underscored a fundamental truth: technology was a tool, not a panacea. The real power lay in empowering people, honoring cultures, and fostering trust. Claire's leadership philosophy had matured into one of servant stewardship, where listening and humility guided decision-making. She convened a strategic retreat with her executive team, inviting candid dialogue about Lumina Tech's future directions. Together, they grappled with questions of scale, impact measurement, and ethical boundaries. Claire encouraged bold thinking balanced with grounded realism. The retreat sparked new initiatives focused on regenerative design, circular economies, and mental health integration, recognizing the interdependence of ecological and human well-being. Amid these organizational evolutions, Claire's personal life flourished with renewed depth. Susan's health improved steadily, bringing relief and joy to their family. Luke's unwavering support and shared vision enriched Claire's journey, providing both partnership and perspective. These bonds anchored her through the complexities of leadership. A defining moment came when Claire was invited to address the United Nations Climate Summit. Her speech was a call to collective action rooted in justice and innovation. She spoke of Lumina Tech's experiences as illustrations of how inclusive technology could catalyze resilience and equity. The audience responded with enthusiasm, signaling a growing global alignment around these principles. This chapter highlighted the integration of experience, reflection, and forward momentum in Claire's story. Her answer was no longer just a personal conviction but a shared movement, a testament to the power of hope, courage, and community to shape a sustainable future. Claire stood before the packed auditorium, the weight of years of struggle and triumph palpable in the air. This was the moment she had both anticipated and dreaded, the culmination of Lumina Tech's journey and her own. As she looked out at the diverse faces, representatives from governments, communities, and industries worldwide, she felt a profound sense of responsibility. The story she was about to share was not just hers, but theirs, a collective narrative of resilience, innovation, and hope. She began by recounting the early days, the sparks of inspiration that had ignited Lumina Tech, and the vision of technology as a force for justice and healing. She spoke candidly about the challenges, the betrayals, the doubts, the crises that had tested her leadership and faith. But above all, she highlighted the moments of connection, the partnerships forged in adversity, the communities empowered, the breakthroughs born of collaboration. Claire emphasized that the company's greatest achievement was not the technologies themselves but the relationships and trust built along the way. She shared stories of the refugee settlements where solar power transformed lives, the indigenous partnerships that honored ancient wisdom, and the urban projects that rekindled hope in forgotten neighborhoods. Her voice was steady, filled with emotion and conviction. The audience listened, captivated by the authenticity and depth of her message. Claire concluded with a call to action: our future depends not on isolated innovation, but on shared stewardship. We must commit to humility, courage, and unwavering dedication to justice. Together, we can build a world where technology amplifies humanity's best qualities rather than its fears. As she stepped down, the room erupted in applause. Conversations ignited across aisles, reflecting a renewed commitment to collective responsibility. Later, in quiet reflection, Claire recognized that her answer, the one that had left Elon Musk speechless years ago, had evolved into a legacy. It was a testament to the power of empathy, perseverance, and visionary leadership. The journey was far from over, but the path forward was illuminated by the shared light of countless collaborators. This final chapter was a celebration of transformation, of a woman, a company, and a movement that dared to imagine and enact a better future. Claire's story closed with a meaningful message: in the face of uncertainty, love and community remain our greatest guides. Technology is but a tool, it is our values and connections that truly change the world. Even though Claire's public journey with Luminatech had reached a milestone, her personal and professional evolution was far from complete. The world she had helped shape was still fraught with challenges. Climate change continued to intensify, social inequalities persisted, and new technologies introduced both promise and peril. For Claire, the end of one chapter was simply the beginning of another, filled with fresh questions and opportunities. After the summit, Claire retreated to a quieter pace, seeking time for reflection and deeper connection with those closest to her. She spent long mornings walking in nature with Susan, finding solace in the rhythms of the earth and the quiet beauty of the changing seasons. These moments recharged her spirit and reminded her of the grounding power of presence. Meanwhile, Luminatech entered a new phase, no longer just a company but a movement with an expanding network of innovators, activists, and communities. Claire's role shifted from hands-on leadership to mentorship and facilitation, nurturing emerging leaders who shared her values and vision. She launched the Lumina Fellowship, a program designed to support young changemakers from diverse backgrounds. The fellowship combined training, funding, and community building to empower a new generation tackling climate and social justice through creative technology. Claire reveled in witnessing these leaders flourish, each bringing unique perspectives and solutions. The fellowship became a living legacy of Luminatech's mission, spreading impact far beyond the company's original scope. On a global scale, Claire deepened collaborations with governments and NGOs to influence policies prioritizing equitable sustainability. She advised international bodies on integrating ethical frameworks into emerging tech governance, emphasizing human rights and environmental stewardship. Her voice carried the weight of experience and the clarity of conviction, inspiring shifts toward more inclusive and just systems. Yet, Claire never lost sight of the personal. She dedicated time to Susan's care, cherishing their moments of laughter and quiet companionship. Luke remained her confidant and partner, their bond strengthened by shared history and mutual respect. Together, they navigated the complexities of a world in flux with grace and resilience. One unexpected chapter unfolded when Claire was invited to participate in a global initiative exploring the ethics of artificial intelligence. The conversations challenged her to confront new dimensions of responsibility and possibility. She engaged with thinkers from diverse fields, debating how AI could be harnessed to enhance human dignity rather than diminish it. This intellectual engagement sparked fresh inspiration, leading Claire to advocate for technology with soul, innovations grounded in empathy, justice, and care. Throughout this period, Claire remained committed to storytelling as a tool for change. She authored essays, gave talks, and participated in documentaries, sharing Luminatech's journey and lessons learned. Her narratives emphasized the human heart at the core of technological progress, inviting others to join in co-creating futures where no one was left behind. As the world continued to evolve unpredictably, Claire's answer, once a personal conviction, had grown into a philosophy and a movement. It was a reminder that the path to justice and sustainability was ongoing, requiring continual learning, humility, and courage. The story of Claire and Luminatech illuminated the profound power of hope, community, and unwavering dedication to values. This chapter closed with an invitation to embrace complexity, to cherish connection, and to keep striving toward a world where technology and humanity advanced hand in hand. Claire's journey began not with fanfare but with quiet determination. As the world grappled with accelerating change, Claire understood that the true measure of progress lay not in grand gestures but in the sustained commitment to values that uplifted people and the planet. She had spent years leading Luminatech from a startup to a global catalyst for resilience, yet she knew that leadership was not a destination but a continual process of growth and renewal. In this chapter of her life, Claire embraced the role of elder stateswoman, a mentor, and a bridge builder across generations and disciplines. She traveled extensively, attending community gatherings, university seminars, and international forums, always listening deeply and learning humbly. Her approach was rooted in reciprocity, offering wisdom while remaining open to new ideas and perspectives. One of Claire's most cherished initiatives was the Circle of Voices, a global network of women leaders from diverse backgrounds committed to advancing equity and sustainability. The circle fostered cross-cultural dialogue, collective problem-solving, and mutual support. Claire found profound joy in these connections, recognizing that shared stories and solidarity were powerful catalysts for change. Technology remained central to Claire's vision, but she increasingly emphasized the importance of grounding innovation in ethics and empathy. She championed frameworks that prioritized human well-being over profit or efficiency alone. Her advocacy influenced policy shifts and inspired new curricula that integrated social justice with STEM education. At home, Claire's life was rich with relationships that sustained her. Susan's health challenges persisted but were met with unwavering love and adaptability. Luke's partnership was a steady source of strength and laughter. Their home became a gathering place for thinkers, activists, and dreamers, a space where ideas flowed freely and plans for a better future took root. Reflecting on the journey, Claire acknowledged the complexity and contradictions inherent in progress. There were moments of disappointment and failure alongside breakthroughs and celebration. She embraced these tensions as part of the human experience, finding meaning in resilience rather than perfection. The legacy she hoped to leave was not a polished success story but a living, evolving tapestry woven from countless acts of courage, kindness, and vision. As technology advanced rapidly, Claire remained vigilant about its potential risks and rewards. She engaged with emerging debates on bioethics, data privacy, and AI governance, advocating for frameworks that honored dignity and justice. She urged innovators to remember that behind every algorithm and device were human lives shaped by culture, history, and aspiration. In her public speeches, Claire often quoted a phrase that had guided her since the beginning: "Progress is not measured by how fast we move, but by how deeply we care." This conviction resonated widely, inspiring a new generation of leaders committed to holistic, compassionate innovation. The final scenes of Claire's story were moments of quiet reflection, watching sunsets with Susan, mentoring young activists, collaborating with global partners, and writing thoughtfully about the future. Her answer, the answer that had once left Elon Musk speechless, had blossomed into a profound philosophy, that love, community, and ethical courage were the true engines of change. As the chapter closed, Claire stood poised to continue the journey. Aware that the work was never finished, but hopeful that each step forward was a testament to the enduring power of shared humanity. Claire's journey had always been one of transformation, both personal and collective, but now, as she stepped into this new phase of life, she felt a deepened sense of purpose. The world around her was shifting rapidly, with technologies emerging that promised to reshape every aspect of human experience. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotechnologies, they all held immense potential but also profound ethical dilemmas. For Claire, these advancements underscored a timeless truth she had come to embrace: technology was a reflection of humanity's values, and without a foundation of empathy and justice, even the most brilliant inventions could cause harm. In recent months, Claire had taken on a new role as the chair of the Global Ethical Innovation Council, a coalition of thinkers, scientists, activists, and policymakers dedicated to steering emerging technologies toward equitable and sustainable outcomes. The Council's mission was ambitious: to create actionable frameworks that would guide the development and deployment of cutting-edge innovations in a way that prioritized human dignity, environmental stewardship, and social justice. Claire approached this responsibility with the same blend of humility and conviction that had characterized her leadership at Lumina Tech. She believed that ethical innovation was not merely a set of rules imposed from above but a living practice cultivated through dialogue, accountability, and inclusive participation. To that end, the Council organized workshops and forums around the world, engaging communities often marginalized in technology debates. Indigenous peoples, low-income neighborhoods, refugees, and youth activists. One of Claire's most memorable experiences was a gathering in Nairobi, where she met with grassroots innovators working at the intersection of technology and traditional knowledge. She visited a solar-powered water purification project led by women from a local Maasai community, whose ingenuity and determination challenged conventional narratives about who could be an innovator. Claire listened as the women shared stories of adapting age-old practices to modern challenges, blending cultural heritage with new tools to improve health and livelihoods. This encounter reminded Claire of the core principle that had guided her since the beginning, that the most effective solutions arise when technology respects and amplifies the wisdom of communities rather than replacing it. She realized that the future of innovation depended on creating spaces where diverse voices could co-create, rather than simply consume, technological advancements. Back in the Council's headquarters, Claire championed policies that emphasized transparency and ethical review processes for AI systems. She argued passionately that algorithms must be designed not only for efficiency but for fairness, inclusivity, and the mitigation of bias. She worked closely with engineers and ethicists to develop standards for data privacy and consent, recognizing that trust was the currency of the digital age. Her advocacy often put her at odds with powerful corporate interests eager to push boundaries without sufficient oversight. Yet, Claire's ability to navigate these tensions with integrity and grace earned her respect across sectors. She believed that resistance was necessary to ensure that innovation served humanity rather than undermined it. Meanwhile, Claire's personal life remained a wellspring of strength. Susan's health had stabilized, and their relationship continued to deepen with each passing year. Luke's unwavering support was a constant presence, and together they cultivated a life rich in meaning and connection. Their home became a sanctuary where ideas flowed freely, and laughter was abundant. Claire also devoted time to mentoring young leaders, recognizing that the torch of ethical innovation needed to be passed with care. She established a global mentorship network within the Council, pairing emerging changemakers with experienced guides. Through these relationships, Claire witnessed the blossoming of new visions and approaches that inspired hope for the future. As she reflected on the arc of her journey, from the early days of struggling to build Lumina Tech to her current role shaping global discourse on technology ethics, Claire felt a profound gratitude. The challenges had been immense, the failures painful, but the victories meaningful. She understood that progress was rarely linear, it was a tapestry woven from countless efforts, setbacks, and breakthroughs. One evening, during a quiet moment of reflection, Claire penned an essay titled "Technology with Soul." In it, she articulated her philosophy that innovation must be rooted in empathy, justice, and care. She wrote about the need to reimagine success not as technological dominance or market share, but as the enhancement of human flourishing and planetary health. The essay resonated widely, sparking conversations across academia, industry, and civil society. Claire's vision was clear, a future where technology was a tool for liberation, connection, and healing, a future where every person had a voice in shaping the innovations that affected their lives. She knew this future was possible only if leaders remained vigilant, compassionate, and committed to shared humanity. As the Global Ethical Innovation Council continued to grow in influence, Claire felt both hopeful and humbled. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with complexity, but she remained steadfast in her belief that with courage and collaboration, a just and sustainable world was within reach. Her answer, the answer that had once left Elon Musk speechless, was no longer a singular statement but a living legacy, an ongoing invitation to the world, to innovate with soul, to lead with heart, and to build futures where technology and humanity thrive together. Claire's world was expanding in ways she could never have predicted. The seed she had planted with Lumina Tech and the Global Ethical Innovation Council had begun to grow into a sprawling ecosystem of change, an interconnected web of leaders, communities, and innovators across the globe, all committed to a shared vision of ethical, equitable technology. Yet with this growth came new complexities and challenges that tested Claire's resolve and vision more deeply than ever before. The stakes had never been higher. The rise of artificial intelligence and automation had begun reshaping economies and societies at an unprecedented pace. On one hand, the potential for these technologies to solve some of humanity's greatest problems, from climate change to healthcare access, was staggering. On the other, the rapid displacement of workers, deepening inequality, and risks to privacy and autonomy raised urgent ethical questions. Claire found herself at the epicenter of global debates, called upon to offer guidance and solutions that balanced innovation with justice. One crisp morning in Washington, D.C., Claire stood before a packed congressional hearing room, testifying on behalf of the council. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle leaned in as she laid out a framework for responsible AI governance, emphasizing transparency, accountability, and community engagement. She highlighted stories from around the world: small farmers using AI-driven sensors to optimize water use, healthcare workers in rural clinics accessing telemedicine powered by AI, but also communities vulnerable to algorithmic bias and surveillance. Claire's voice was steady but passionate as she argued that technology must never be an end in itself but a means to enhance human dignity and opportunity. The room erupted in questions and debate, some challenging her proposals as too restrictive, others urging stronger safeguards. Claire welcomed the dialogue, knowing that democracy thrived on robust exchange and that ethical innovation required ongoing negotiation. After the hearing, Claire met with a group of young activists who had traveled from underserved urban neighborhoods to advocate for digital equity. Their stories of battling lack of broadband access, educational disparities, and algorithmic profiling deeply moved Claire. She pledged to amplify their voices within the council and to support initiatives that brought technology and training to marginalized communities. Back at the council's headquarters, Claire worked with data scientists, ethicists, and community representatives to launch a new project called The People's Algorithm, an open-source platform designed to evaluate AI systems through the lens of fairness and transparency. The platform allowed users to report biases or harms, suggest improvements, and engage in collaborative auditing. Claire envisioned it as a democratic tool empowering everyday people to hold innovators accountable. Amid these professional endeavors, Claire's personal life remained a vital source of grounding. Susan's health had its ups and downs, but their bond grew ever stronger, woven from decades of love, patience, and mutual care. Luke continued to be Claire's rock, balancing the demands of his own career with unwavering support and companionship. Together, they nurtured a circle of family and friends who provided joy and comfort amid life's turbulence. One evening, after a community dinner hosted in their home, Claire found herself reflecting on the intertwining of technology and humanity, the ways in which innovation could either isolate or connect, empower or exploit. She wrote in her journal about the importance of cultivating empathy in a digital age, reminding herself and others that behind every screen was a human being deserving of respect and dignity. This commitment led Claire to partner with artists and storytellers, recognizing that narrative and culture were powerful tools for fostering empathy and understanding. She helped launch Tech Tales, a global storytelling initiative that collected and shared personal stories about technology's impact on everyday lives. From the perspective of a teenager in Detroit using virtual reality to overcome trauma, to an elder in rural India preserving cultural knowledge through digital archives, these stories illuminated the human heart at the center of technological change. The initiative gained international acclaim, and Claire was invited to speak at film festivals, cultural forums, and universities, advocating for a more humane approach to innovation. She encouraged technologists to listen deeply to the stories of those affected by their creations and to co-create solutions that honor diverse experiences. Despite these successes, Claire faced moments of doubt and exhaustion. The rapid pace of change, the weight of responsibility, and the persistence of injustice could feel overwhelming. She turned often to mindfulness practices, meditation, and nature walks to restore balance. She also leaned on the wisdom of mentors and peers, recognizing that leadership was a shared journey, not a solitary burden. One turning point came during a visit to a coastal community devastated by climate change. Rising sea levels and intensified storms had displaced families and disrupted livelihoods. Claire met with local leaders, scientists, and activists working tirelessly to adapt and rebuild. Their resilience and hope amidst hardship renewed Claire's determination to advocate for climate justice at every level. She realized that technology alone could not solve these crises. Systemic change, rooted in equity and care for the earth, was essential. This insight deepened her commitment to holistic innovation, technologies embedded within social and ecological systems rather than isolated fixes. Back home, Claire and the Council organized an international summit focused on intersectional climate solutions. The gathering brought together activists, indigenous elders, scientists, policymakers, and technologists to share knowledge and forge partnerships. Claire marveled at the collaborative spirit and the creative ideas flowing from diverse voices united by a common purpose. As the summit concluded, Claire stood before a crowd of thousands, reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this moment. She spoke of the power of community, the necessity of humility, and the enduring strength of hope. Her words resonated deeply, echoing across cultures and continents. In the quieter moments that followed, Claire wrote a letter addressed to future generations, a heartfelt manifesto calling for courage, compassion, and unwavering commitment to justice in a world forever transformed by technology. She spoke candidly about the struggles and triumphs of her own path, offering lessons learned and encouragement for those who would continue the work. The letter was widely circulated, inspiring dialogues in schools, communities, and governments. It became a touchstone for emerging leaders grappling with the complexities of the digital age, a beacon of light in uncertain times. As the chapter drew to a close, Claire felt a profound sense of peace and purpose. The journey was far from over, but the foundation was strong, built on trust, empathy, and shared humanity. Her answer, once a private conviction and a source of surprise, had blossomed into a movement that transcended borders and generations. Claire understood that true change required persistence, adaptability, and a commitment to listening deeply. She embraced the ongoing challenge with grace, ready to walk forward with courage and heart. The story she lived was not about technology alone but about the enduring power of connection, the ties that bind us across differences and distance, the hope that fuels transformation, and the love that sustains us through the unknown. Claire had always believed that the greatest innovations were born not from technology itself, but from the human spirit that drives it. As she entered the next phase of her journey, this belief was tested and refined in ways she had never imagined. The world was changing faster than ever, and with each breakthrough came new questions about what it meant to be human in an increasingly automated age. For Claire, these were not abstract philosophical debates but urgent, lived realities, questions that demanded action grounded in empathy, justice, and community. The Global Ethical Innovation Council had become a beacon for leaders worldwide, a place where ideas collided and coalesced into policies, projects, and movements that sought to humanize technology. Yet Claire knew that influence in halls of power was only part of the story. True change required shifting hearts and minds across all layers of society, from boardrooms to classrooms, from rural villages to urban neighborhoods. Recognizing this, Claire devoted increasing energy to education and public engagement. She helped design a curriculum called Ethics and Empathy in the Digital Age, aimed at middle and high school students. The program combined lessons in critical thinking, digital literacy, and social responsibility, using storytelling and interactive projects to cultivate empathy alongside technical skills. Claire believed that equipping young people with these tools was essential to building a future where technology served all people fairly. The program launched in pilot schools across several continents and quickly gained traction. Teachers reported students becoming more aware of how algorithms could shape their lives and more motivated to advocate for fairness and transparency. Parents and communities embraced the initiative as a way to prepare youth not just for jobs but for citizenship in a complex, interconnected world. Claire visited many of these classrooms, often sharing her own story and encouraging students to ask difficult questions. She was moved by their curiosity and passion, their ability to envision futures that were inclusive, just, and sustainable. These encounters reaffirmed Claire's faith in the power of education as a catalyst for lasting change. Meanwhile, Luminatech continued to evolve, now operating as a decentralized cooperative owned by its employees and community partners. This transition was a deliberate experiment in economic democracy, reflecting Claire's commitment to dismantling structures of inequality not only through technology but through organizational design. Luminatech's projects increasingly focused on open-source solutions, renewable energy, and community-driven development, reinforcing the values of transparency and collective empowerment. One particularly ambitious project involved developing affordable, solar-powered microgrids for off-grid communities in Latin America and Africa. These microgrids not only provided clean energy but also created new opportunities for education, healthcare, and economic growth. Claire visited several of these communities, witnessing firsthand how technology, when aligned with local needs and knowledge, could transform lives. She recalled meeting Rosa, a young mother in a remote village in Guatemala, who shared how the solar microgrid had enabled her children to study after sunset and allowed the local clinic to refrigerate vaccines reliably. Rosa's gratitude and hope were tangible, reminding Claire why her work mattered beyond abstract policy debates or technological innovation. Despite these successes, Claire faced profound challenges. The rapid pace of change brought ethical dilemmas that were often messy and unresolved. Debates around data ownership, AI surveillance, and the environmental cost of technology weighed heavily on her mind. She grappled with questions about the limits of technology as a solution, recognizing that social and political change were equally vital. The Council convened emergency sessions to address the environmental impact of data centers and the growing energy consumption of blockchain technologies. Claire advocated for integrating sustainability criteria into all innovation policies and urged companies to adopt circular economy principles, reducing waste and promoting reuse. She knew that technology's promise could be undermined if it continued to consume resources irresponsibly. Claire's advocacy sometimes put her at odds with powerful interests resistant to regulation or accountability. Yet her reputation for thoughtful leadership and unwavering integrity made her a respected voice, even among skeptics. She sought common ground where possible, emphasizing collaboration over confrontation. Her efforts extended to global climate negotiations, where she pushed for the inclusion of technology ethics alongside emissions targets. Claire argued that a just transition to a low-carbon future required attention to equity, access, and the distribution of benefits and burdens. She collaborated with indigenous leaders, environmental activists, and scientists to craft proposals that honored diverse knowledge systems and rights. One particularly moving moment came when Claire joined a delegation to the Arctic, witnessing the devastating effects of melting ice on local communities and ecosystems. Standing on the fragile ice floes, she felt the urgent call to deepen her commitment to planetary stewardship. The experience strengthened her resolve to align innovation with ecological balance. At home, Claire's circle continued to provide solace and inspiration. Susan's health fluctuated but their bond remained a source of profound strength. Luke's partnership was steady and loving, and their shared history was a wellspring of comfort amid uncertainty. Friends and colleagues rallied around them, creating a vibrant community grounded in mutual care. Claire also made time for herself, reading, painting, and exploring the outdoors. These moments nourished her creativity and provided perspective, reminding her that balance was essential to sustainable leadership. One evening, during a quiet retreat in the mountains, Claire sat by a fire reflecting on the arc of her life and work. She thought about the moments of breakthrough and heartbreak, the lessons learned, and the people who had shaped her journey. Above all, she felt gratitude, for the opportunities to serve, the friendships forged, and the chance to contribute to a better world. Her answer, once a surprising insight that had left even Elon Musk speechless, had evolved into a profound philosophy, that technology's true power lay in its ability to amplify human values of love, justice, and care. It was a reminder that behind every innovation were choices, and those choices shaped the kind of world humanity would create. As dawn broke over the mountains, Claire felt ready to embrace the challenges ahead with renewed energy and hope. The journey was ongoing, complex, and at times daunting, but she knew that with courage, empathy, and community, progress was possible. She closed her journal with a final note: let us innovate not only with our minds but with our hearts. Let us build futures where technology serves humanity, protects our planet, and honors the dignity of all. Claire woke up to the soft glow of morning light filtering through the curtains, a quiet reminder that every new day was an opportunity, a chance to move forward, to learn, to connect. The weight of the world still pressed on her shoulders, but beneath it lay a resilient hope that had been nurtured over years of struggle, triumph, and transformation. Today was no different. She had a full schedule ahead, with meetings spanning from policy workshops to grassroots community sessions. Yet she welcomed the challenge, knowing that meaningful change often began in the smallest conversations. The Global Ethical Innovation Council had become more than just a coalition, it was now a vibrant ecosystem of diverse voices, each bringing their own experiences, wisdom, and dreams. Claire saw the power in this diversity every day, recognizing that the future would be shaped not by a single leader or ideology, but by a chorus of perspectives united by shared values of empathy, equity, and sustainability. Her morning began with a video call to a group of young innovators in Detroit who were developing AI tools to support urban farming initiatives. The young women and men on the call spoke with passion about using technology to reclaim vacant lots, reduce food deserts, and create green jobs. Claire listened intently, asking questions, offering encouragement, and connecting them with resources through the council's network. Their energy was infectious, reminding her that innovation was as much about heart as it was about code. Next, Claire met with a team of ethicists and data scientists to review a new AI application designed to assist healthcare workers in remote areas. The tool promised to analyze symptoms and suggest diagnoses, potentially revolutionizing access to medical care where doctors were scarce. But ethical concerns about data privacy, algorithmic bias, and patient consent required careful scrutiny. Claire insisted on rigorous testing, community input, and transparent communication before any deployment. She was committed to ensuring that technology did not deepen existing inequities under the guise of progress. Later that day, Claire traveled to a nearby city to attend a public forum hosted by local leaders and activists advocating for digital inclusion. The room was filled with voices sharing stories of struggling to afford broadband, facing digital literacy gaps, and experiencing surveillance targeting marginalized communities. Claire spoke candidly about the challenges but also highlighted ongoing initiatives aimed at closing the digital divide. She emphasized that access to technology was a fundamental right in the 21st century and pledged to continue working to dismantle barriers. As the sun set, Claire returned home to a quiet evening with Susan and Luke. They shared a simple meal and reflected on the day's events. Susan's health had stabilized, and her spirit remained bright, an anchor for Claire amidst the turbulence of her work. Luke's steady presence provided comfort and balance, a reminder of the strength found in partnership. That night, Claire found herself drawn to her writing desk. She began drafting an op-ed for a major newspaper, articulating her vision for a future where technology was a tool for liberation rather than control. She wrote about the urgent need to embed ethical principles into the very DNA of innovation, to prioritize human dignity alongside technical advancement. The piece would be published widely, sparking conversations across sectors and communities. As she typed, Claire reflected on the path that had led her here, a journey marked by moments of doubt and clarity, setbacks and breakthroughs. She thought about the people who had inspired her, the grassroots leaders in Nairobi, the activists in Detroit, the indigenous elders in the Arctic. Their resilience and wisdom fueled her conviction that change was possible when grounded in shared humanity. In the weeks that followed, Claire's op-ed ignited vibrant debates, drawing both praise and criticism. Some applauded her call for ethical accountability, others warned against stifling innovation. Claire welcomed the discourse, believing that healthy tension was essential to democracy and progress. She engaged with critics respectfully, seeking to bridge divides and build consensus. The council continued its work, launching new initiatives focused on transparency in AI development, community ownership of data, and sustainable technology practices. Claire spearheaded collaborations with universities to integrate ethics into STEM curricula, ensuring that the next generation of innovators carried these values forward. Amid these efforts, Claire remained mindful of the personal toll of leadership. She prioritized self-care and connection, carving out time for nature walks, meditation, and moments of quiet reflection. She surrounded herself with friends and loved ones who provided grounding and joy. One afternoon, Claire received an invitation to speak at an international summit on the future of work. The topic resonated deeply, as automation and AI were reshaping labor markets worldwide. Claire prepared a keynote address emphasizing the importance of creating inclusive economic systems that valued human creativity, care work, and community well-being. She highlighted policies promoting lifelong learning, social protections, and cooperative business models. At the summit, Claire's speech was met with standing ovations and spirited dialogue. She connected with leaders from diverse backgrounds, forging new partnerships aimed at advancing equitable futures. The energy in the room was electric. A testament to the growing movement for just and humane innovation. Returning home, Claire felt invigorated but also aware of the continuing challenges. Global crises, from climate change to social unrest, reminded her that technology was only one piece of a complex puzzle. True transformation required collective action, humility, and unwavering commitment to justice. In quiet moments, Claire often revisited the question that had sparked her journey: what if technology could be a force for good, amplifying love, justice, and connection rather than division and harm? Her answer, once surprising and unexpected, had grown into a guiding philosophy that now inspired thousands. As she prepared for the next day, Claire embraced the uncertainty ahead with courage and hope. The future was not fixed but was shaped by the choices made today, choices to listen, to act with empathy, and to build a world where technology and humanity thrive together. Her story was not only her own but belonged to everyone committed to imagining and creating a better tomorrow. And with each step forward, Claire knew she was walking alongside countless others, innovators, activists, dreamers, who shared her vision and determination. The journey continued, bound by the timeless truths that had always guided her: that progress was possible when grounded in love, that justice was non-negotiable, and that every voice mattered. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?